of this class for 6 years in operation. So what we're looking to do is use the vehicles. The lease is for 36 months, 3 years, at almost zero cost maintenance and practically zero cost using fossil fuel.
The LAPD's I-3 deal could lead to a deal for vehicles more appropriate for patrol work. Police Chief Charlie Beck says the department is continuing to work with BMW, Tesla, and other automakers to create a more capable electric vehicle. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Mayor Eric Garcetti says the city plans to acquire 100 additional electric vehicles this fiscal year. Well, an oil facility in South LA faces more stringent oversight after a lawsuit settlement honoring the contributions of immigrants in the U.S. and time to make a splash as the summer swim season kicks into high gear. All these stories in City Beat. City Attorney Mike Feuer announced that he has secured a court order that puts in place important protections for the South LA community and environment in regulating the Alanco oil facility, which, according to Feuer, put the health and safety of residents at risk. The court order details specific regulations and further approvals that Alanco must follow and obtain before it's ever to reopen and begin pumping oil again. Alanco is also required to provide a state-of-the-art environmental safety monitoring system and pay $1.25 million in civil penalties.
We sued Alanco to protect the people living in the surrounding community, low-income people, people who very rarely have someone standing up for them.
Councilmember Gil Cedillo introduced a resolution designating June as Immigrant Heritage Month, a nationwide effort to gather, share, and celebrate inspirational stories of immigration in the U.S. and the individuals, families, and communities who have contributed to the country's unique social diversity.
We believe here that it's important to create a sense of comfort, a sense of being welcomed, a sense of unity, a sense of solidarity.
The Department of Recreation and Parks, Councilmember Curran Price, and Bureau of Engineering kicked off the 2016 summer swim season with the reopening of the Central Pool and Kaiser Permanente's Operation Splash program, which provides swim lessons for children and adults in low-income areas. The Central Pool at 22nd Street was damaged in the 1994 Northridge earthquake and closed its doors in 2004. 2 years ago, it began a multi-million-dollar renovation that now includes a children's splash area.
I'm having such a great time with my daughter, spending time, and I feel grateful to know that we have programs here for the summer. While keeping animals at the LA Zoo well-fed sometimes requires creative solutions. As Rich Samuels explains, a new collaboration with a local nonprofit is making some animals very happy.
Our non-native plants feed their non-native animals.
The Palos Verdes Peninsula Land Conservancy is in the midst of a habitat restoration project, and that means acacia has got to go.
The animals don't use it as much as they would use the local native flora, so they actually block out any other plants from growing underneath them, and they spread pretty rambunctiously.
They're also very flammable. So with the help of a team from AmeriCorps, a federally funded public service organization, the acacia are being removed and replaced with native vegetation. That's good news for native plants and great news for the LA Zoo.
The acacia is something that we can use at the zoo to feed to a lot of the different animals. Everything from monkeys on up to giraffes loves to eat acacia.
While the zoo grows some of its own food, it depends on community partnerships like these to meet the demands of zoo residents. In addition to giraffes and monkeys, elephants, antelopes, and a wide range of other animals also enjoy acacia. From the Alta Vicente Reserve in Rancho Palos Verdes, this is Rich Samuels for LA This Week.
The Habitat Restoration Project is ongoing, which means there's more good eating in store for our friends at the LA Zoo. While emerging LA artists showcase their work, get up close and personal with the beauty of modern design and a view of the city that'll literally take your breath away. All this in this week's Things to Do. The Hammer Museum's biannual exhibition series Made in LA focuses exclusively on artists from the LA region with an emphasis on emerging and under-recognized artists. The Los Angeles Biennial debuts new installations, videos, films, sculptures, performances, and paintings commissioned specifically for the exhibition and offers insight into the current trends and practices coming out of Los Angeles, one of the most active and energetic art communities in the world. The Hammer Museum is located at 10899 Wilshire Boulevard. For more, visit hammer.ucla.edu. It's America's largest modern design event. Dwell on Design is a 3-day exhibition and conference comprised of 1 trade day and 2 consumer days at the Los Angeles Convention Center, featuring world-class speakers, product demonstrations, continuing education classes for design professionals, and seminars for design-seeking consumers. For more information, visit la.dwellondesign.com. SkySpace LA boasts a thrill experience unlike any other. Sky Slide, an outdoor glass slide positioned nearly 1,000 feet above downtown LA. The Sky Slide is 45 feet long, approximately 4 feet wide, and made entirely with 1 1/4-inch thick glass. Visitors will experience Sky Slide's unparalleled views in a whole new way as they glide from the 70th to the 69th floor of the U.S. Bank Tower. From interactive and educational components to the spectacular design, SkySpace LA is the ideal family-friendly attraction and the tallest open-air observation deck. It opens on Saturday, June 25th and located at 633 West 5th Street. For more, visit skyspace-la.com. And that's a look at some things to do.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
It's our duty to serve veterans and military families who serve their country in the most difficult ways imaginable. Together, we can say thank you in so many ways. Small acts of kindness mean more than anything. With our support, veterans and military families can face even the most difficult challenges. Let's honor their service with ours.
During California's next major earthquake, an epic battle will take place. Don't fight a brick. The brick will win. DareToPrepare.org.
Hi, I'm Kevin from Chatsworth, offering you a taste of New Orleans since 1986. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Members, if you're in your offices, please report to the council chambers. Please report to the council chambers so that we can begin our business for today. I want to thank Mr. Fuentes, Harris Dawson, Cesar Perez O'Hara, Mr. Good morning. Shh. Good morning. It is Friday, June 24th. I want to welcome each and every one of you to Los Angeles City Hall. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. We don't have a quorum as of yet, but we can begin because we have a we have several important presentations, but I can't think of one more important than this one. So I'm going to defer to Mr. O'Farrell, and it's my understanding Mr. Weezar. So the floor is yours. Do a good job. I'm watching. And where's the commissioner? And Mr. Weezar, before you and Mr. O'Farrell get started, and to Commissioner, I want to apologize. I'm going to have to just go buy another barong. Okay, I tried to salvage. So I'm going to have to get you and I will go. You have to take me to get another one. So with that said, Mr. Weezar and Mr. O'Farrell, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It's a real pleasure to be here this morning to welcome our friends from the Filipino community, and it's just a pleasure to do this each and every year to celebrate the anniversary of the Philippine Independence Day. And this year it's the 118th anniversary of Philippine Independence Day, so welcome. Magandang umaga. Buenos dias. And thank you to our special guest today, Council General Herrera Lim, who's with us today, Public Works Commissioner Joel Jacinto, who's no stranger to these chambers, our own City Personnel Department General Manager Wendy Macy is here, Linda Granados, President of the Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees, and we have some special guests from the Filipino American Law Enforcement Organization, and there are others that we will introduce shortly. With more than 140,000 Filipinos residing in Los Angeles, we are fortunate to be home to the largest Filipino population outside the Philippines anywhere throughout the world. Their rich tapestry is embedded in the history of our city and can be traced back to our roots and the founding of this great city. The trajectory of the Filipino community is an important part of our city's history. Here in our very own United Park in beautiful Council District 13, led by Councilmember O'Farrell, we have the Gintong Pamana mural, recognized as the largest Filipino-American mural in the United States. And at Lake Street Park, also in beautiful Council District 13, we have the Filipino-American World War II Veterans Monument, the first monument dedicated to Filipino soldiers who fought for the United States in World War II. And not to be outdone, we also have one in beautiful Council District 14 at our Eagle Rock City Hall that my office was very honored to install. But they both honor an important part of our collective history and the sacrifice Filipino soldiers and their families made on our behalf. We also have the Filipino American Library, which is the earliest and largest Filipino library in the country. And of course, we have our historic Filipino town that makes up the southwest portion of Echo Park in Council District 13. Historic Filipino Town was officially recognized in 2011 as one of the nation's Preserve America communities and received this tremendous honor from First Lady and Honorary Chair of the Preserve America Initiative, Michelle Obama. Last year, our downtown community was thrilled to welcome the 24th Annual Festival of Philippine Arts and Culture, or FPAC, which took place at El Pueblo, the official birthplace of the city of Los Angeles. The very first festival took place just a week after the 1992 riots. All these years later, the festival has grown to be the largest presenter of Philippine arts and culture in Southern California, attracting tens of thousands of participants from Southern California and across the entire country. It is an honor to host this amazing community-driven event in the birthplace of the city of Los Angeles, and attending it has given me tremendous respect and admiration for Philippine arts and culture. And this year, they'll celebrate their silver anniversary of 25 years. So we all look forward to that event and look out for the details. And I might add that Filipino food is starting to get its spot in the limelight, with a number of local Filipino restaurants and chefs getting noticed as of late. And really, it's often through that experience of sharing food and breaking bread with one another that our city's diversity really reveals itself and shines. And so I look forward to sitting across the table with all of you in the years ahead, eating delicious Filipino food. And I'll bring a little Mexican salsa along with it, too. Council members and public, it's my great honor now to present to you Council Member O'Farrell, which represents Filipino Town and a number of communities that serve a number of Filipinos in this great city of Los Angeles. Please welcome Council Member Mitch O'Farrell.
Good morning, colleagues, and thank you, Councilmember Huizar. It gives me great pleasure to stand here with you and Philippine Consul General Leo M. Herrera Lim, who just mentioned to me how much in common the Irish have with Filipinos in terms of our background, our struggles, the difficulty, the ancestral difficulties that caused us to immigrate elsewhere. And I think together, Filipinos and Irish make quite a good team, I must say.
Well, let's
beer.
give a round of applause to the Filipinos and the Irish.
They have their own version of Guinness, and so that alone will get me there. We also, representing the president of the Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees, LaFace, Linda Granados. I am particularly proud to be here today as the representative of a historic Filipino town, neighborhood that's been home to Filipinos since the 1940s and served as a gateway for many Filipino immigrants in Los Angeles. The city of LA is home to the largest number of Filipinos living outside the Philippines anywhere in the world, not unlike the Irish, and enrich the communities where they live. And throughout districts 14 and 13 and 6 and way beyond, I think that we can celebrate Hi-Fi, historic Filipino town, which remains the cultural heart of the Filipino-American community in Los Angeles. Now, something very exciting that in the partnership with the Board of Public Works and Joel Jacinto, our Public Works Commissioner, my office held the Hi-Fi Streetlight Public Art Design Contest in line with the installment of 54 new pedestrian streetlights along Temple in the heart of historic Filipino town. And Joel led this effort, and we're so happy that tomorrow we're going to have a big celebration and kickoff of this, and we're going to do a community walk in a historic Filipino town tomorrow morning. The contest is part of an effort to improve pedestrian safety in the neighborhood while showcasing the unique contribution of Filipino culture to the tapestry of Los Angeles. We recently named Roel Punzalan as winner of the contest with his incredible submission concepts depicting Kapwa, which means all hands in, Lakbay, which means build bridges, and Kap-e-a-paan, which means embrace peace. Now, this young man is also a resident of Glassell Park, which I'm very proud to say. These themes embody the inclusive experience, nature, and ethnic diversity of Filipino culture. So, it is in this spirit that it is an honor to join you all in celebration of the 118th anniversary of the Philippines Independence Day. Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce a special guest who has had an extensive and distinguished diplomatic career serving the Filipino community, serving in important leadership roles in Washington, D.C. and Chicago, before we were fortunate to have him here in Los Angeles. Please welcome Consulate General Leo Herrera Lim. Welcome.
Mr. President, good morning. Thank you very much, Councilman Huizar, Councilman O'Farrell, our brother from another mother. If I'm in keeping with the present trends, my speech should be within the 140 characters of Twitter, so it should be hashtag Philippines at the LA Council. But I should not mince words in terms of thanking the Council. in terms of recognizing our community, both in terms of their achievements as city council employees and as residents of the great city of Los Angeles. I've been privileged for the past 2 years to represent a proud community that have been great contributors to the city of LA. And I'm taking this opportunity as well to give you my thanks, because my tour ends by next week. And me and my wife would keep proud memories of our stay here in Los Angeles. And during the past probably month when we celebrated Independence Day, we've seen how a proud and independent free Philippines have shown its mark in the world. The growth rate of the Philippines during the first quarter of this year was 6.9%, the highest in the whole of Asia. And the Free Philippines also last month showed an interesting film at the Museum of Tolerance. It's called Rescue in the Philippines, where 1,200 Jewish friends were rescued by the Philippines in 1938 at the time of the Holocaust, right before we were fully recognized as independent by the U.S. government. These 1,200 Jews were given refuge out of the Holocaust by our president, President Manuel L. Quezon, as a sign that we value freedom, independence, and the right of people to self-determination. So for me, this is a mark of the Filipinos wherever they are. And I think even here, the Filipinos have aggressively participated in the nation building of the U.S. So I'm proud to have represented the Philippines in Los Angeles, and I thank the Council for recognizing our community today. Thank you very much.
And next, I would like to call up Ms. Linda Granados, President of the Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees, who are here year in and year out and are great representatives of our city family. Please welcome Ms. Granados.
Good morning, Council President Wesson, Council Member O'Farrell, Council Member Weiser, Council members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to stand before you as President of LaFace as we celebrate the 118th year of Philippine independence. As a Filipino organization, LaFace's mission is not only to assist Filipinos and other city employees with employment and promotion in civil service, but to assist in the economic, educational, and cultural advancement of Filipinos in the LA community. In celebrating and commemorating Filipino milestones such as this Philippine Independence Day, we hope to share our history, culture, and traditions with the younger Filipino Americans and the rest of the diverse groups of people that comprise this great city of LA. And by finding common bonds, we continue to build and improve relationships, appreciating and leveraging our differences in unique and creative ways so we can work together to improve our communities. Again, in behalf of LaFace and its over 2,700 members, we thank you council members, especially council members Weiser and O'Farrell, and everyone here today for your continued support of LaFace and the civil servants of City of LA and the Filipino community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, happy Philippine Independence Day, and thank you all to our council.
Mr. Weiser, I'd like to call on a few members that would like to say a few words. I'd like to begin with Mr. Gilbert Cedillo.
President Wesson, you know that in my entire tenure of the Assembly and the Senate, I represented the same area. And Joel, you know our work and our history. But I'm very proud of one accomplishment, and that was July 21st, 2000, when Governor Gray Davis in the Capitol Park made California the first state to recognize Filipino veterans and to ensure that all veterans could receive California benefits, first in the nation, before the country recognized this forgotten history and ensured that Filipino heroes could go back to the Philippines and continue to receive their benefits. So I'm not sure, Mr. President, if you were the speaker then, but I know we were serving together when Governor Gray Davis signed this legislation to make sure.
I think it was right before.
Governor Gray Davis signed this legislation to ensure that all the benefits and all the veterans could receive those benefits. So I'm very proud of that rich history. I'm very proud of the incredible history that Filipinos have. Many people think of, for example, of the farm labor movement, and they think that it began with Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, but in fact it did not. And in fact that history began decades and decades before. And those workers in the fields were great leaders like Philip Veracruz, who was in the fields. I had the privilege and honor of meeting him with Kent Wong. Great leaders with a long history, a rich history of strikes, of organizing, of nonviolent resistance before Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta left the CSO to join in the fields. And so there's a rich history. Our bonds are common. Our destiny is certain. Our communities are united, and it's a great day to be here and honor all of you. Thank you so much.
Mr. David Ryu.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you, Councilmember Gil Cedillo. I too rise in support of the anniversary of the Philippine Independence Day, and I really want to thank Councilmember Huizar and Councilmember O'Farrell for your leadership on this. And you know, as Councilmember Cedillo said, from farm workers to Filipino veterans to the burgeoning and great historic Filipino town that we have in Los Angeles. Many people don't know this, but Filipinos are the largest Asian Pacific Islander American bloc in both the city and the county of Los Angeles. Yet, for a variety of reasons that we all know, they are the least represented, whether it's in political office or in entertainment media. And I know a lot of you are working the forefront to change that. And I really want to thank Consul General Leo Herrera Lim. I know this is your last week here. Thank you so much for your service. And you will be missed in our district. But we look forward to the next Consul General. And, you know, I just want to end by mentioning one of the great current Filipino-American comedians, Joe Coy. And he made a joke. He was boasting about how great the Filipino culture is and the Filipino people are. And he joked that he said, you know, in the melting pot of the United States that we are, as time progresses and we assimilate and we intermarry, he said, United States is going to be a land full of Filipinos. If you think about that, yeah. He was saying, whether you like us or not, you're all going to become Filipino. So thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you for coming today.
Thank you. Consul General, good luck to you, sir. Thank you for your service, and you will truly be missed. You are a class act. We wish you could stay. With that said, I will defer back to you, Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Ryu, I've heard that joke. It's a good one. I sat back and thought about it for a while. But Mr. President, we know how important this day is for you and how much you cherish the Filipino American community and your remembrance for your former Chief of Staff and how much work she did for you and for the city and when she was with you in Sacramento. So we also thank you, Mr. President, for also helping us put this event on each and every year because we know it's very, very important to you as well.
Thank you.
And with that, you know, I mentioned earlier how some of the first pobladores who helped establish the city of Los Angeles were Filipinos. The history of giving back to this city for Filipinos has continued to today. People like Ruben de Vera in Glassell Park in Eagle Rock, who helped us establish the monuments for the World War II veterans, Filipino World War II veterans at our Eagle Rock City Hall. And many Filipinos throughout the city continue to give back. So they are here enriching our city with their culture and history, but also giving back, and we thank them for that. Our city employees, Filipino-American city employees who are here, who are active, involved, and engaged. We thank them for that. And so as we look to the future of the city, they are a great representative of how the diversity here is working well with one another, and you could continue to promote and support your culture in this great city, and that's something that we truly cherish. So thank you so much, and happy Independence Day.
Thank you.
We're going to lose one of our most famous city employees here today. So it's my pleasure, along with Councilmember O'Farrell, to present this resolution on behalf of the 118th anniversary of Philippine independence. Congratulations, Pagbati.
Again, congratulations. Madam Clerk, we have a quorum. Please call the roll.
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson, 11 members and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minute.
Mr. O'Farrell moves. Mr. Weezer seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Koretz moves and Mr. Krikorian seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, items 1 through 4 are items noticed for public hearing. No action is required for item 3 inasmuch as Council noted and filed the matter on June 14th, 2016. And also, item 4 should be held on desk due to cards, sir.
Okay, we will do exactly what you instructed us to do. So, do we have any remaining items?
Yes, Mr. President. That leaves Council 1 and 2.
Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Continue.
Next, Council, are items 5 through 13. And those are items for which public hearings have been held. Revised committee reports for items 8 and 9 have been submitted and circulated. Also, Mr. President, there is a technical correction for item number 10. Recommendation number 4 should read WLCAC as the recipient of the Handiworker Program contract for the South Los Angeles Neighborhood Service area for an amount not to exceed $390,328.
Okay, let's prepare to then vote on the remaining. Let's hold item, is it 5? Let's hold item 5. And Mr. Harris Dawson.
Request to hold item 5.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Mr. President, there is a request to have items 8 and 9 go forthwith, sir.
Without objection, that'll be the order. Continue.
Next is items 14 through 26, and those are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Without objection, these items are now before this body. Mr. Cedillo.
For items 17, 18, 20, and 21, I'd like to move to adopt the respective CAO reports that have been circulated this morning.
All right. We have any cards?
Yes, Mr. President. There are cards on 22 and 25.
Okay, let's hold those items. Let's remember Mr. Cedillo's request and let us vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Continue.
Mr. President, on the continuation agenda, item 27 is an item for which public hearing has been held.
Okay, we'll hold this and move on. Continue.
Mr. President, would the council like to recess the regular and go into the special meeting?
Let's do that. Call a roll.
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris-Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson, and 11 members and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, now do we have cards on? Do we have cards on this item?
Yes, Mr. President. There are cards on 28.
Okay. Mr. Previn, come forward, and Doug Haynes, please come forward. Item 28, Mr. Previn.
Is that over there for a reason? That was over here. Is that where it's supposed to be?
Go ahead, Mr. Previn.
Yes, it's Eric Previn from the Second Council District. Thank you, sir. This is if I'm not mistaken, a special meeting. Are we in the special meeting? It is the special meeting, item 28. And here we have at the top of the items for which public hearings have not been held. That is because the reason why this was put on the agenda was because Councilmember O'Farrell responded appropriately to a request from a member of the public and an attorney to reconsider this matter because there was a notice problem. They had failed, or he alleged that they had failed to notice him properly. Now, in this body, the City Hall, the City Council of Los Angeles, we have all sorts of notice problems, and we have all sorts of difficulties with compliance with the Brown Act. So I think that it's a good choice on Mr. O'Farrell's part to put it out here out of an abundance of caution. But I think that it does not make up for the kinds of damage that have been done in the way that the community has been pushed back. And we are making plan amendment changes for a group who, have a certain imprint. Everyone loves Target. That's not what this is about. But they should be required to live within the existing plan. And for reasons which have been very, very difficult to stomach for the community, there have been great exceptions made and efforts to sort of maneuver around. And believe me, I know these things are controversial, but it is good in this one small sense to see that the City Council is complying here with the Brown Act. Now, I asked Mr. O'Farrell to do the same thing with item 50 from June 22.
Let's stay on this item.
It's a special meeting item, and so you have to comply with the Brown Act on these special meeting items. So that's why I'm celebrating today, but I'm not accepting what happened on the 22nd. So that is my point, and I would like to say thank you once again for making an effort to comply today. Thank you.
Mr. Hayes. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Doug Haynes with the La Mirada Avenue Neighborhood Association, and thank you for putting this item on the agenda. I first became involved with this project in 2008 when I attended the Neighborhood Council and Design Review Committee meetings where the community strongly opposed it. Then I became involved with our neighborhood association as one of the litigants. I know there are lobbyists supporting this project. There are people in the community opposed to the project. It really doesn't matter at this point. The people opposed to the project will continue to litigate on the issues that keep being handed to them by the city time and time again. We opposed it on the M&D, and they went back and did an EIR. Then we opposed it on the exceptions to the specific plan, and the court ruled in our favor. Now you're doing an addendum, so there's going to be litigation over the addendum. When the courts tell you to do an EIR, there's going to be litigation over the EIR. If the city would just once and for all do it right, they could move this project forward the way the people in the community want. But what happens is nobody seems to listen. We've been right time and time again, and the city simply can't listen to what we say. There is irreversible momentum in favor of this project, despite the fact that not only has the community consistently raised the correct issues, but the courts have backed the people who raised those issues. Today you're considering yet another proposal that seeks to gut the Vermont Western Transit Oriented District Specific Plan. In 2008, City Planning staff and CD13 supported approval of every entitlement requested by Target. 8 years later, following 3 hearing officer hearings, 3 commission hearings, 12 Plum Committee hearings, and 7 City Council votes, Planning staff and CD13 are once again recommending approval of the exact same Target project. Then as now, the findings that were required to provide the legal framework to justify the entitlement request are word for word exactly what Target's consultants have written. Then as now, the findings are without merit and the project should be denied. And, you know, quite frankly, not a single one of you have listened to anything I've said today on this matter.
Thank you. Ms. Martinez.
President, can I ask for item 13 to be sent forthwith? Item 13.
When we get back into, we're in special meeting,
Okay.
so I will make a note when we get back into regular. And you want it forthwith? All right. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, are we finished? Mr. O'Farrell. Forthwith on this item. If we're finished with the special, can we adjourn and return to the regular?
Yes, Mr. President.
Okay. Now, with that said, let's item 13. Let's send that forthwith for Ms. Martinez. Okay, we want to take up items 17 through
Mr. President.
17, 18,
20 and 21.
20
sir.
and 21. Okay, members, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay.
Mr. President, there's a request to have item 17 go forthwith.
Could you hold 1 second? I did not hear you.
There is a request to have item 17 also go forthwith, sir.
No problem, without objection. Mr. Weezar.
Thank you. Item 2 and 3 forthwith, please.
2 and 3 forthwith. We'll go to item 22. Mr. Doug Haynes, Jason Vogel, and is there maybe an Evan Vogel? Please come forward.
Hello, good morning. My name is Doug Haynes. I'm speaking on behalf of the Hollywood Studio District Neighborhood Council. Thank you to CD13 for allowing 90 days of additional time to consider this major project. I just wanted to point out to the City Council, when this went before the City Planning Commission, there were 2 separate agenda items, and I'm going to stop for a second. If people could pay attention to what I'm saying, it's important. Thank you.
Continue.
Councilman Krikorian. There were 2 agenda items with recommendation reports that totaled hundreds of pages. There was also, in addition to the EIR, that was thousands of pages. We were allowed 30 seconds of speaking time for each agenda item, 1 minute total. After the public comment period had closed, then the Commission revealed that there had been ex-parte communications with the Commission members with the development interest that had gone on, and so they had worked out and formulated in advance to the public hearing what they were going to decide that day. Also, the Vice Chair had worked out with the Commission staff an amendment prior to coming to the public hearing. So all this was done before the public hearing and outside the public process. I would ask that the Council speak with the Commission members and get them to understand that this is a public process, not a private process. Ex-parte communications are inappropriate. We only get a minute at these hearings, and they get plenty of time. Outside of that, I look forward to additional time for our neighborhood council to review this project. Thank you.
Thank you. So I believe it's Jason Vogel. Please come forward, followed by Evan Vogel. And I don't have another card, but go ahead.
Okay. I'm in favor of the City Council delaying consideration of the project at 5901 Sunset to give Council Member Mitch O'Farrell more time to consider how damaging this project, as currently proposed, would be to the immediate neighbors. My name's Jason Vogel. I'm on the Hollywood studio ANC, but today I'm here as a home builder, as someone who raised 4 kids in Hollywood, and an owner of the adjacent property. As currently designed, 5901 Sunset would create a private alley specifically for delivery trucks, mostly diesel. This alley would really be a canyon between the proposed building and the existing apartments just 3 feet away. The 18-wheeler delivery trucks would spew diesel fumes into the living rooms, dining rooms, and bedrooms of the adjacent apartments. It would create a permanent and unmitigated health hazard to the adjacent families, endangering the lungs and health of young children. The current Hollywood plan was drawn to protect these residents, and this project would permanently destroy the housing of scores of Hollywood residents. I've given a package that will show the pictures of how these trucks will spew diesel fumes right into the bedrooms, the living rooms, the dining rooms of families, and I support Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell in really looking at how damaging this product really is, unmitigated damage. Thank you very much.
Okay, so is it Evan Vogel? And then I have a card on the James Pugh. Okay. Yes, sir.
My name is Evan Vogel. I live in Hollywood at 1529 North Bronson, and I work as a graphic designer, freelance, so I'm mostly working from home. I'm also in favor of the City Council delaying the consideration for Project 5901 Sunset to give Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell more time just to think about the project and how it would affect the neighborhood and the neighbors. There's been a lot of construction and stuff already going on that lot with a bunch of noise and stuff at pretty much starting at 6:30, 7 a.m. So I honestly think that this project would even cause more of that, and not even just during the time of the construction, but also after. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Please come forward.
Good morning.
Go right ahead.
Good morning, City Council members. Here to support the motion to provide extra time for the Council to consider the 5901 Sunset Project. And just for the record, note that this is one building along Sunset Boulevard. It's approximately 15 stories, bringing creative office space into Hollywood and attracting media and entertainment type of tenants. And we've worked closely with the city to make sure the design is appropriate for the area as well as the neighbors. But again, my comments today are to support the motion to extend the time to act, and so the city can consider this matter at a future date. Thank you.
Okay, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now, we kind of misplaced some public comment cards. We have found these cards. We're going to reconsider some items, but before we do that, so I want you to know that those of you that fill out a card will get a chance to speak. But before we do that, I want to recognize Mr. O'Farrell for a presentation.
Come on up, everyone. Yeah. The more the merrier. Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. Today, we recognize Outfest, the LGBT film festival in Los Angeles. This is still LGBT Heritage Month, the month of June, and we're just very happy to acknowledge and elevate all of the great things that this organization does within the community and far beyond. We celebrate LGBT pride in filmmaking as we shine the spotlight on Outfest. The festival begins July 7th and will run how many weeks?
11 days.
11 days through the 17th. So from the 7th and through the 17th. We want to acknowledge this historic moment also marking LGBT month. We have many, many things going. We celebrated here in Council a few weeks ago. We also kicked off the exhibit on the bridge, which is the celebration of the freedom to marry. That display on our bridge will continue through the month of June also. In addition to that, we celebrated LGBT contributions in film and television with Reel to Reel exhibit at the Hollywood Museum. That exhibit, it's wonderful, it's incredible, and it will run through the autumn. And then finally, we proclaimed Tim Dang Day, and Tim, for 2 decades, was the executive director of East West Players in Los Angeles in the great 14th District. The grand finale in this lineup, of course, is Outfest. Joining us today, we have Christopher Raxter, executive director of Outfest, Marina Rice Bader, Henry Alberto, and Barney Chang, and we'll hear from them shortly. This festival marries so many topics that are close to our hearts as policymakers: film production, jobs, arts, and culture, while supporting and celebrating our brothers and sisters in the LGBT community. Outfest is an opportunity to learn about the LGBT community and our commonalities through the lens of a filmmaker and the heart and soul of an actor. Outfest is where art and culture intersect with the LGBT community, and this year the festival will feature a Made in LA series, as we are working to bring the industry back home where it belongs, as well as spotlight Latin American cinema and Outset, the Young Filmmakers Project with the LGBT Center. Joining us this morning to kick off his remarks and share more details about this incredible event is Christopher Raxter, the Executive Director of Outfest. Christopher.
You bet. I appreciate the counter here, so I'll try and keep it short. I want to thank Council President Wesson, Councilman Mitch O'Farrell, his office, and the City Council for giving us this opportunity to share a little bit about Outfest and its impact in the community. It's a great honor, and we're very thankful. Outfest is the leading organization that promotes equality by creating, sharing, and protecting LGBT stories on the screen. We do this through 4 programs. Outfest Forward nurtures emerging voices. Through our screenwriting lab, Javier Fuentes Leon was able to create his film Contra Corriente, which won a Sundance Audience Award and went on to be the Peruvian submission to the Oscars. Our Outset program, which Councilman O'Farrell mentioned, is a young filmmakers project, taking 15 young people from diverse backgrounds through a filmmaking boot camp. In our first year, a young woman, Janella Laxon, a talented young Filipino woman, recognizing our other group today, produced a film called The First Date. This film got her into NYU Film School, got her 2 scholarships, and 4 years later, she graduated from NYU and her thesis film debuted at Cannes. Outfest Fusion is our LGBT People of Color initiative, really geared to make sure that we are celebrating and focusing on the diverse and rich communities of color here in Los Angeles and making sure that they are seen and heard. Perhaps our most successful part of that program is our Fusion Labs, where we take our services, our workshops, our mentors out into underserved communities from Lamert Park to Highland Park to Koreatown and make sure that we're giving them the opportunity to tell their stories and being heard. The Outfest UCLA Legacy Project, our 3rd program, is the only program dedicated to preserving, archiving, and restoring LGBT film. What started with the restoration of 2 films now has 36,000 works in its collection. We've restored 24 films, the most recent, different from the others, a 1919 German film, what is arguably the first intentional depiction of an LGBT protagonist on film. And finally, the centerpiece of what we do, Outfest Los Angeles. Outfest Los Angeles, again, takes place this July 7th to the 17th. Our festival screens over 160 films from over 23 countries to an audience of over 35,000 people here in Los Angeles across 6 different locations in this city. Over the course of its 34 years, we've shown to audiences of over 500,000. We have fostered the careers of dozens of filmmakers. And perhaps most importantly, especially in light of Orlando, we have created and continue to maintain a safe place for our community to come together, to celebrate itself, and to be affirmed. The ripple effect of our work stretches around the globe, but right here in Los Angeles, we have strengthened our community. We have provided an irreplaceable cultural landmark. We have nurtured innumerable voices. We have brought artists from around the world. We have created jobs. We have supported the entertainment industry, but most importantly, we have changed lives, and we are grateful for the recognition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Christopher.
That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And keep doing it. Keep going. That's fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Oh, that's all right. No, it's great. It's great. I think Christopher just talked about the importance of art and culture transcending and bridging the differences better than almost anything can.
Plus preserving history. I mean,
And it's incredible. This is an incredible organization with just decades of experience. I can't imagine the cultural fabric of LA without Outfest. Our next speaker is a filmmaker, Marina Rice Bader, who's featured in this year's festival. I'm both of them, sorry.
Hi, I'm so proud to be here today, Mr. President, council members. Christopher's speech actually choked me up just a little bit, so I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. But
just take your time.
I am one of the citizens of Los Angeles. I've lived here for over 30 years, and I'm one of the people whose lives Outfest has radically impacted. I am a single mother of 4. I've raised my children here. I'm proud to live here. And at the age of 53, I decided to follow my passion, and that was to become a filmmaker. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know what it meant to me, but the first film my production company created was accepted and screened at Outfest. And now I understand what that actually meant in the landscape of my life, because it was the launching pad for my career, which I'm 60 now. I'm proud to do what I do. And Outfest was truly the launch pad for my career that has made a difference to me, my family, my children, and everyone who knows me. I'm so passionate about what I do, and Outfest has now become my benchmark. And that means every single film that I do, and this is my 5th feature film. Yay. I'm sort of a late bloomer, but Outfest is my benchmark. Everything I do now, the first thing I think of is it good enough to be considered for Outfest? And if it is, I'll make that film. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. I think your next film should be all about how you tapped into the fountain of youth.
Right.
Because
I wasn't going to say anything. I'll let you go
I'm
in.
stunned. You're doing something terribly right. Okay, you're
following my passion.
You're amazing, Marina. What can I say? Next, please welcome filmmaker and program mentor Henry Alberto.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Henry Alberto, and I am a Latino queer filmmaker. It's taken me some time to own that introduction, riddled with shame growing up in Miami as a young Cuban kid with dreams of making movies. I always rejected the idea of making gay movies. Then I was 21 and I made my first short film, which screened at Outfest. Through Outfest, I was introduced to a community of like-minded artists. Outfest helped me find my artistic voice and reminded me of the importance of creating stories that can help other queer people find hope and normalcy by having our experiences captured on film. Aside from being a part of the screenwriting lab and my film screening to sold-out audiences, by far my favorite Outfest experience was being invited to mentor the Outset Young Queer Filmmakers Program. Working with these fellows has been one of the most inspiring and rewarding experiences to date. Watching a group of young artists discover and own their voices reminded me of the crucial necessity of programs like Outset and organizations like Outfest. No matter where I go from here, Outfest will always be home. Thank you to everyone at Outfest, and thank you guys for your time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Henry. Next, I'd like to welcome filmmaker Barney Chang.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us here today. I'm Barney Chang. I'm a filmmaker. Outfest has been a big part of my life for so many years. For the last 20 years, I've been an audience. It's something I look forward to every summer. And I was very lucky and fortunate to be able to share a film that I made last summer, Baby Steps, as well as this year at Outfest Fusion. Outfest is such a wonderful place for people to get together and share different voices. As filmmakers, the most special thing to us is to be able to share our ideas and our different voices, different diverse voices. As Taiwanese American, I was so happy to be able to bring all my friends from my Taiwanese American community and just share a story about a Taiwanese American mother and her relationship with her son. We were so honored to get the stamp of approval from Outfest, the leading LGBT organization in the U.S. And because of that, because of our collaboration with Outfest, we were able to enroll the interest of the State Department, which subsequently invited us to screen in 6 different U.S. embassies around the globe, to places like China, to Mongolia, places that LGBT stories were not allowed to be shared and told. So we were very, very happy, and it's just so fortunate to have a community of filmmakers and places like Outfest to be able to share our stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Barney. Thank you so much, Barney. So, as you can see, colleagues, you get a sense of all that Outfest has to offer, not just the culture of Los Angeles, but the culture that the rest of the country and the rest of the world so deeply needs to understand better, especially in light of the Orlando tragedy. This is one organization, one event that happens every summer where people can come together, commiserate, and through the art of filmmaking, help the world understand the issues a little better than we currently do, and take a major role in help healing some of the tragedies that we've experienced and bringing greater understanding to the world that certainly needs it. So, with that, Christopher, if people want tickets to Outfest, what do they do?
Outfest.org. We're open 24/7 online.
Outfest.org, open 24/7 online. It begins on July 7th and runs through the 17th. With that, congratulations. Have a wonderful, successful festival, and congratulations.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you. I want to take a moment to recognize my former seatmate, our former colleague, Greg Smith, Councilman Smith, to my right. Can we give him a round of applause? Okay, Mr. City Attorney, Mr. Rue? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have some distinguished guests in the audience today. If they could stand, we have the mayor and former Congress member of the Republic of Korea, Mayor Oh Si-duk of the city of Gongju. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming down and visiting our great city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to move to item 27. I have 2 cards on item 27. And again, I have not forgot, we're going to reconsider about 5 items or so, but we're going to deal with item 27 now. So I think it's Tom Anderberry. Please come forward. And Mr. Walsh, item 27.
Mr. President, there is a request to have item 14 go forthwith, please.
In fact, I think we have to hold that because that's going to be one of the ones we're going to reconsider. So why don't we wait until we come back? Let me do the reconsiderations, and then we'll move these other ones. Yes, sir.
Tom Anderberry, Department of Water and Power's Management Employee Association. I'm here today on item number 27. Any charter change put before the voters must serve the interests of the ratepayers and public in preventing patronage and corruption in public employment. The civil service system that serves the city is based on merit and competitive examination. The city's proposed charter amendment eliminates the civil service for the DWP and offers no certain replacement for the voters. All the mechanisms put in this city charter and the Civil Service Commission is what we're looking at is to keep all the corruption out. It's amazing how all the city unions that we've been meeting with are against this, except for one, which is IBW, and we're looking at trying to protect this for the rest of the city and the ratepayers. So we urge a vote on no on 27. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, J. Walsh Confidential. This adds another election to November 8th, a special election that's tail wagging the donkey. And what is this? It is a bullshit attempt at reforming the DWP. It is garbage. You should be lowering the DWP rate. And a proposed charter amendment. You can take the charter amendment, fold it 4 ways, and shove it up your fascist ass.
Okay, now if we can clear we're going to go into closed session. So if I can ask the sergeants to please clear the chambers, we're going to go into closed session. You're disrupting, Mr. Walsh. Please just exit. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, Mr. President. The council has been presented with an impasse, has adopted that position, and made final determination pursuant to LA Administrative Code Section 4.840 by taking that action to submit to the voters the proposed charter amendments that are currently before the council.
Okay, let's prepare to vote.
Mr. President, just for clarification, what is before council is the city attorney has transmitted revised ballot resolutions and election ordinance incorporating the amendments contained in the rules, elections, and neighborhood council committee report, and the council agenda, and those amended resolutions and ordinances are before council and has been distributed.
Okay, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
All right.
Mr. President, the ordinance will go over 1 week to July 1.
All right. Item 25, Mr. Previn, Mr. Walsh, on item 25.
Funding for the Los Angeles Coliseum July 4th fireworks. We don't need public money for fireworks. Look at your streets. Look at the disgrace these streets are in. And you're putting in money for fireworks. Fireworks, incidentally, are politically incorrect. They're explosions, and of course you picked the fireworks group. There's enough fireworks to go on here, verbal fireworks. We don't need to spend one goddamn cent of tax money on fireworks. And scumbags like Rue will vote for it. You vomitous piece of shit. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Previn.
Yes, I'm going to take 60 seconds on this one, Mr. Faubel. Thank you. Today, we commemorate your funding the Coliseum fireworks. And this is, to be very specific, in connection with the Declaration of Independence. To refresh the memory, England was, who today, for timeliness, Brexit occurred, where they are separating from the European Union, which is surprising. But back then, England was the king. And members of the King's team would go around and create little groups and little kangaroo courts and such, and make determinations and find against the folks who are working here in the New World,
Mr. President,
America.
the history lesson is interesting, but it's not actually relevant to funding the firework display.
Finish. I have 15 seconds. Please put it back. My point is that when you have these little hearings like that, like the British used to do, like the Ethics Commission did on the 21st for Kelly M. Lord, that is not, that's the kind of thing that the folks in America went to war over. So I really do feel that when we have hearings, we have to respect the Constitution and due process, which didn't happen up in your Ethics Commission.
So you're not on subject, and you burned through your time. You may want to finish your 40 seconds.
About the Declaration of Independence firework display and how it's important to me. And I don't understand this concept of shutting people down when they're pontificating, sir. You do it regularly in your environment. I mean, this is the public comment on the item. The 4th of July is a great celebration. And now you've pushed me into the 2 minutes, so that will leave me with 1 minute remaining, which I understand. And I'm willing to cooperate that way with you, sir, because I want to respect the rules. But you need to play by the rules, which you don't do on a regular basis. And that's the problem. And that's why we've seen a great deal of difficulties
speaker
down
is
here.
still on. Thank you, Mr. Previn. Thank you very much. Okay, let's. I do not have a card from Ms. Ramirez on this. Can we check? Ms. Ramirez, please come forward.
Mr. Wesson, President, you do this to me all the time, and you wonder why I get angry.
I just
Thank
called
you.
you up to speak. What do you want?
Thank you. If you do organize a 4th of July fireworks show, please don't include the lousy DJ from the Music Center Grand Park, for they suck. They have no vibrant energy. Moreover, please include a United States military air show by our beloved Thunderbirds and Blue Angels, along with a great tribute and honor to all our war heroes and their sacrifices. Please play military music along with World War I, World War II, and the veteran era. Patriotic music like the big bands. Tommy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, and the Andrews Sisters. God almighty, quit the rancho crap shit, you know? And bring patriotic back to America. We need patriotic people, the symbols. Multicultural is one thing, but this is the 4th of July. And like Previn said, the Declaration of Independence is the prima facie of America. Without it, we are nothing and we don't exist, as we are becoming now. Thank you, Herb Wesson. And so we are asking for a wonderful, wonderful compilation of the United States military and its military branches, enumerated, outlined, and with their music themes, and our wonderful law-abiding citizens, Americans, you know, those down-to-earth home Americans who want to enjoy the freedom, life, liberty, and justice of America that used to be, that is no longer today. Give us a glimpse and a touch of that once again. And again, America is not dead yet. God help us, Donald Trump. And that is why
You're
we're
off the
asking
subject.
you.
Now, thank you.
America is alive, but we need to reinstill and bring back that fortitude and that backbone of America that we used to have once before we got invaded by these goddamn wetbacks.
Thank you. Now you're off the subject. Now, Ms. Ramirez, you're disrupting the meeting. Ms. Ramirez, if you want me to call on you, you have to fill out a card and put your name on it. That last card, your name was not on it. Okay. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Ms. Martinez?
Request that we reconsider item 33 from Council File 14-0808 from Wednesday, June 22nd agenda.
Okay, let's vote on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Yeah.
It's
I'd like
now
to
before us.
I would like to amend the report to instruct the ITA to report to the City Council on their future plan to engage in a competitive process to identify a contractor to operate Channel 36.
Okay, now the item is before us as amended. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, let's vote on reconsideration on item 3. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, Ms. Ramirez, item 3 is now before us. I have a card from you. Item 3.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we have here the Tax Equity and the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 1982. We are asking that, that the city attorneys and the council members give us a brief synopsis of all these internal revenue codes that would be comprehensible and understandable to people like myself who are not tax buffs or numbers buffs. We need to have something to look at or guide through and find out where our monies are going. Spending time on the streets as a homeless person, I now want to know where my tax money is going. Even though I am homeless, I put a lot of money in restaurants, hotels, etc. I want to know if you can give us a brief synopsis of these tax codes and where our money is going. We're financing just about everything, including hotel rooms and, again, single room occupancies and housing facilities. I want to know where our money is going. And again, if we are going to have single room occupancy rental housings, I want to know who is going in there. First and foremost, military veterans. No wetbacks and no gangbangers. Legal law-abiding Americans only. Only. Again, that includes our baby boomers and senior citizens and military veterans. No wetbacks and no gangbangers. Again, the money that we are putting, even for those of us in the streets, we are now more aware of the waste of money that is coming out of this city hall and its members and the mayor. We need to account where that money is going. I make sure where I spend my money every day now when I'm on the streets. And let me tell you, just go to the bathroom, I have to pay money at a restaurant just to use a toilet. So please, again, I want a synopsis of how you budget the money and where it goes to what specific areas or departments and or agencies. And again, the FBI and the CIA need a good jalapeno up their asses because they've done nothing for this city. God bless Donald Trump and America.
Okay, let us vote on this item. Ms. Ramirez, don't go anywhere. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, you have 1 minute left. We're doing item 15. Item 15.
Very much, sir. I do appreciate your integrity now. Boy, that took a couple seconds. Thank you very much. 15, thank you. Mrs. Catherine Eidman, who is being appointed for the Community and Family Services. Ma'am, I hope that you will have the integrity, the decency, and the human dignity to first and foremost help our military veterans and their families. Again, the 4th of July is just around the corner. Let us provide even for our military aviators. Oh, God, help us. And so please provide resources. Have a team, a task force to provide one after the other and get them out of the door and housed and jobbed and helped and healed. And then let's get the game going. No more stumbling, no more obstacles, and no more bureaucratic crap. No more caca on the steps. Let's continue processing these wonderful, God-see human beings who got the balls to be America. So please, let us, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll.
Mr. President, for clarification,
Yes.
there's a vote to reconsider 15.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Now let's actually vote on the item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Mr. Harris Dawson, item 5.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask representatives from DWP to come forward. This item is regarding the discolored water that we got in southeast Los Angeles, as well as some parts of Watts. Mr. Buscaino and I brought forward a motion that asked for a report back, and so we're excited to hear the report back today.
Thank you very much. I'm Marty Adams. I'm the senior AGM for the water system at LA Water and Power. With me is Bronia Lindsay, who's the assistant director for our water distribution division, and Jonathan Leong, who's the assistant director for our water quality division. These gentlemen have been very instrumental in resolving this issue, and we'd like to bring you a brief report. And I have a few slides to show to just highlight some of the issues for the public's benefit. Hopefully this will be a good news report, and it'll bring this issue to conclusion in a way that you find satisfactory. The The discolored and cloudy water issue that the councilman described in the Watts and Green Meadows community, this has been the singular focus of the water system's efforts for the last month. This issue actually first arose in late February, where we had some cloudy water following a knocked off fire hydrant that caused some high velocity flows. We did sampling at that time, but did not determine any particular problem. We had a problem with the school district called about in late April, and then we also did additional sampling at that time. But we were not aware that the issue was continuing throughout the distribution system until a community meeting on May 7th. And following that meeting, we immediately we spoke to the council on the 10th. And the 11th, we began the most comprehensive flushing operation that we've done in our agency's history. The area of the city that's affected is outlined in blue. This area is generally fed by what we call our 99th Street wells. These wells pump from our central groundwater basin rights, which is an important water supply for the city. This has been the historical supply. The actual service area annexed to Water and Power in 1967. During the prior years, during the Watts riot period, there was a determination that there was not adequate fire flow and other flows in that area, and that the pipes were aging. And so we actually annexed the previous private water company into the city's water system. Included in this system is also the city's longest established corrosion control facility to reduce corrosion in the aging pipes in that area. The cause and source of the sediment, so the first question we had last time was, where is this coming from? And the primary cause we've determined is that in the water that's pumped from the ground there's naturally high occurrence of iron and manganese. These are dissolved in the water. They're all very well within health limits, and they're not a particular cause for concern. However, what we determined is that the act of disinfecting the water and chlorinating the water has caused that material to oxidize and fall out of solution. And so we had what became particularly iron deposits, very fine iron deposits, which caused a rust color falling into the bottom of the pipe. And just falling out of solution, almost as if you'd have like sugar dissolved in water, but something causes it to precipitate out. And so while the material itself was not a health issue and well within standard, when it was in solution, when it fell out of solution, it became the cause of the dirty water. The issues we had, this chart shows the number of customer calls. The blue bars are the number of customer calls. The red is associated with high flows, either knocked off fire hydrant or a fire hydrant activation. And what would happen is the material is very fine, and when we had the high velocity associated with some kind of fire flow, it would stir this material up and cause it to stay in suspension. And then the last set of calls was when we began our actual flushing operation. The actions we took in the last month, we have done the most comprehensive flush ever of our water distribution system to clear all the sediments. We have increased the frequency and the number of tests. It's now the most highly tested area of the city, and it continues on daily testing at multiple locations. We took the 99th Street wells out of service so we could clean the pumping forebay, and at this point we intend to leave the wells out of service while we finish some other remedial actions to help this from reoccurring. And then we did a tremendous amount of outreach and information to the community. I'll let Brionia describe the flushing operation that we did.
Good afternoon. Good morning. We flushed approximately 267,000 feet, which is about 50 miles of pipe throughout the district. Hello?
There you go.
Better? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. We flushed about 267,000 feet of pipe throughout our distribution system, which is about 50 miles. And that was between the dates of May 11th and June 11th. We utilized two different flushing programs. One is our manual flushing, which is what you traditionally see out on the street when we flush through a fire hydrant. And the second one is a mechanical flushing program, which is called a no-des recirculation filter. And that's the picture that you see right above. With this mechanical device, we were able to save 2.6 million gallons of water. We also notified the customers through door-to-door hangers before and after the flushing. We followed up with customers and field quality complaints since January, and the vast majority of our customers indicated that their water has cleared up as soon as we completed the flushing program. On the next page, it shows a map of the area that we flushed. We flushed from 92nd Street all the way down to Imperial, and from Central Ave all the way up to Alameda. And a couple of outlying areas where they had complaints of brown or cloudy water, which is the Green Meadows and the area right north of 120th in the Nickerson Garden area. As I alluded to earlier, 267,000 linear feet. We also delivered approximately 20,000 bottles of water to schools in the area who didn't quite feel comfortable drinking the water, even though the water was safe, but aesthetically it just didn't look good. We did that as a goodwill gesture because they had utilized their emergency supply of water. So as a goodwill gesture, DWP gave 20,000 bottles of water. And that's it for that page.
I'll let Jonathan describe the water quality testing and what we did to increase to make sure that we had good customer health and safety at all times.
Okay. Good morning, Jonathan Leung. So one of the things we did was to sample the sediments that we had collected during the flushing exercise because, as Marty indicated, we wanted to confirm what was the source of that sediment. And so we did, in our environmental lab, we did fairly extensive testing for both common and rare metals and chemicals. And we were able to confirm that the only sediments we found were iron, manganese, and zinc. And the zinc came about because we've been adding zinc orthophosphate as a corrosion inhibitor for over 25 years in that area. So following up on that, we did the flushing program and cleaning the sump to try to remove the sediments from the system. And that's where the importance of the daily monitoring was. It was a way that we could validate that the cleaning exercise had the desired effect. And so we were sampling daily. The main measures we would cover were turbidity for cloudiness, color for the tint of the water, testing for composition of iron and manganese, as well as zinc. So we were able to confirm as a result of the extensive cleaning, which ended on June 11th, that the levels now have been reduced by about 90%. So they're about one-fifth, one-tenth of what they previously were. So we're pretty satisfied from a chemical standpoint and water quality analysis standpoint that the cleaning exercise worked. On top of that, we actually did some sampling as requested by LA Unified School District, and that was because during the flushing activities, there were instances where while we were flushing adjacent to schools, the cloudiness would appear in the schools. So we would work with their Environmental Health and Safety Division to go out and sample at the schools. We have checked back with them now over twice since the program concluded, and they have indicated to us now that everything is clean. And I think we're lucky that we've established a good relationship and communication with them that we will be able to hear immediately if those issues arise again. One other thing, so of course the water was very visually disturbing, and so we are also conscientious to do bacterial testing and chlorine residual testing because these are our safeguards to make sure there's no harmful microbials or pathogens in the water, because obviously those in the area are going to be very, very concerned about whether or not this would have any adverse health effects. So we did that, and the good news is we're maintaining good chlorine residual in the system, and that there were no bacterial or harmful pathogens detected. Lastly, kind of stepping away from the lab bench a little bit, we did post almost daily the water quality results on our website. We also had an opportunity to do some outreach with the Housing Authority. We have checked back with them twice. We got an email from them again last night indicating that they have not seen these issues again. So we're pretty excited about the effects of the cleaning thus far, but we're definitely going to try to utilize this expanded network to make sure that we stay on top of it going forward.
I might like to also add that on the water quality sampling, we did also test for lead and copper and found no issues with either of those constituents in the water. So this is really confined to the iron and manganese. We did extensive communications. Jonathan had mentioned about the website. We posted as much information we could as quickly as possible regarding the sampling on the website. We also increased our level of outreach. If there's a silver lining to this, we have much deeper relationships with a number of people in the community. We worked with different schools, different school events, the Watts Gang Task Force, and as well as going door to door. I know both Jonathan and Brony have gone door to door to a number of churches and other key businesses, and we will continue to do outreach to the community. We also did send 20,000 follow-up letters, both in English and Spanish, to make sure that the residents knew the results of our actions. So lastly, just to say what's coming up. So as far as this episode, we regard this episode as being finished, that we've finished cleaning all the pipes. We have asked that if there are any instances of cloudiness for any of our customers to let us know. We will address it immediately. We are going to continue to coordinate any flushing with schools and community groups if anything is necessary. We're changing our response to protocols to knocked off fire hydrants to include immediate flushing afterwards. This could be a problem that occurs anywhere in the city. We're also working on our software programs to make sure that if we have a number of trouble calls regarding water quality complaints, that we're able to see trends a little better than we can now. 98% of the pipe that we inherited in 1967 has been 90% or more has been replaced already. We're looking for any remaining pipe of the original system to make sure that we finish that replacement. We are providing better monitoring. Councilman Blumenfield knows about our innovation process, looking at different technologies around the world. We have 3 Israeli technologies that we're about to implement out there that will replace our hands-on daily monitoring with automatic continuous monitoring that we have at all times. That'll be the first place in the city that enjoys that kind of coverage. At the same time, we are going to be doing a presentation on lead and copper in that area, and we are working to have a lead and copper sampling service available to customers in their own homes. And then lastly, at the 99th Street Wells and Pump Station, this late summer we'll be breaking ground on a chloramine facility, and following that, we've determined that we will put in a kind of a high-level filtration system to try to reduce that iron and manganese level so that the problem does not reoccur in the future. So at this point, we believe we've addressed all the issues that are outstanding. We will continue our public outreach, and we will continue to be vigilant. If anything comes up in this area, we'll be on it immediately. So that's the conclusion of our report. We're happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Harris-Dawson.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And thank you all for your report and your response to this matter, especially for the part where you all emphasize relationships and communication as much as the technical side. I think that was very, very important in this situation. I did have one question. I think this question is on behalf of Mr. Buscaino and myself. So you described, I think, as clearly as probably someone with my education could get it, that there's a lot of iron and manganese in the ground, somehow gets into the water, it combines with the cleaning process that you all do with the water, and it oxidizes and turn this brownish color. How does that not happen in the future, or how do we prevent against that, and why did it take this long for it to occur?
So that's a great question. So the first thing, if I could go back in the past, is why did this not occur in the past? So we used to do regular flushing throughout the water system. When we finished what was the world's largest cement mortar lining project, which was to take the pipes that had metal touching the water and line it with cement, when we finished that, we ramped back our flushing program because we did not have this incidence of mains corroding and causing this. And so we actually haven't done a lot of flushing in the system except for focused problems since about the year 2000. Brionia tells me that he said that, there's in this area of town, because it's a dead end, there's not a lot of water movement. But in his experience working in the field...
And by dead end, you mean it's the end of our system?
Yeah, it is. And so water doesn't flow through there. Right. So water in that area stops there and doesn't go any further. And so he told me that typically in the summertime, even with people opening hydrants like you see in New York and trying to cool off on a hot day, that we may have had some incidental flushing going on that we were not really aware of. And last year, because of the drought, was the first year that we didn't see that happen. So it could be that this problem was going on and being kind of self-resolved until this past year. Now, for the future, we're actually going to, everyone who has wells in this area has the same problem. It's naturally occurring iron and manganese is dissolved, so it's almost like salt in ocean water. It's just there, and unless something causes it to fall out, it just stays there, and it's not at an unhealthy level until it falls out and causes the rusty condition. The bottles of water that we saw that were cloudy, as long as you disturb those, they'll stay cloudy. But if you let it sit, it will eventually settle to perfectly clear water over a layer of sediment. And so when we put in, we're going to look at a filtration process that'll deal with these metals, and that'll prevent the problem from happening in the future. And now that we have a new system that we're actually purchasing our own to recirculate water on flushing, we'll be much more capable of going out and flushing water without losing it. Councilman Weezer has been very concerned about, when we had at Eagle Rock, about losing water out when we flush mains. And so we've had a big effort to collect that water. And so now with this new process, we can be sensitive to the drought and water conditions, and at the same time make sure that we don't have sediments building up.
So we don't need folks in Mr. Buscaino's district to break the fire hydrants in the summer anymore.
Brony has quite an interesting history with this, and it's interesting, but that's the one thing we see different than this last year. Is the first time we had 2 or 3 episodes. That was it, and you said
and that was it. Like I said, it's probably the only community that has self-flushing because in the summertime it just gets unbearably hot, and just like on the East Coast, they open up the fire hydrants, and our crews get called out to shut them off. But last year was probably the year that we didn't have that because of the drought. I think people were more cognizant of what was going on, and they were less likely to open the fire hydrants. So the buildup.
And that's the only difference that we see in condition is from the past.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for your report, and again, thank you for keeping up the communication. We'd ask you to do that going forward as we move out of this time period, and I'll thank Mr. Chair.
Pay attention.
I'll thank Mr. Chair and ask members to accept this report.
All right. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go to item 4. Mr. Haynes, Doug Haynes, Mr. Previn, Jason Vogel, George Abrams. I think it's a Jennifer. Daniel Wright, just start making your way down. Nicole, maybe Shahinian. Okay, if you guys would, let's let them. Okay, sorry about that, Ms. Haynes. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. My name's Doug Haynes with the La Mirada Avenue Neighborhood Association. You know, I put together things to write, but I'm just going to go off of some things that I think some of the council members know about this project and others do not. I know Councilman Krikorian, 6 years ago, you were in the same seat when we had the same situation where the Target project was brought back. The approvals were rescinded in 2010, so they had to go from an MND to an EIR. This project could have been built 9 years ago, because Target originally came in with a co-compliant one-story store in 2007. Eric Garcetti requested that they instead introduce the precedent of height and density on Sunset Boulevard. So we as a community could have had a fully operating, functioning store 9 years ago. It was the city that stopped that from happening. So that's why the community adamantly opposed it. We went to court. The court ruled in our favor. Instead of changing the project, instead of looking at alternatives, which there are many, the city has instead proceeded with the same exact project that the community has opposed for years. And, you know, I know that everyone has conversations going on, but this is the problem that I've encountered for all these years and our neighborhood has encountered. No one pays attention to anything we say regarding this issue. That's why our only recourse is to go to court. If the city for once would listen to us, that wouldn't be an issue. And I'll point out for Councilman Koretz, at the Arts and Parks Committee, you asked about, well, isn't there going to be child care facility for this project? The answer is no, there won't be. They're going to pay an in lieu fee. They don't know what the fund is. Originally proposed $170,000. Rec and Parks estimated it would be $2.8 million. And so Rec and Parks didn't accept it. There is no child care facility going to be provided for this project. There'll be tax revenue, but there'll be tax revenue for a legal project as well as an illegal project.
Okay,
Let's
thank
go
you.
for legal. Thank you.
You know, before, if I could get Mr. Vogel, Mr. Abrams to sit, I need to recognize Mr. O'Farrell first, and then I'll have you guys come and give your statements. So, Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. In light of the comments that we're hearing today, I want to make sure that everyone understands the process that we're following. So I'm going to move to amend item 4 to adopt the ordinance dated 6/24/16. After the comments, I'm then going to have City Attorney come up and explain procedurally exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it. I just wanted to make that really clear in light of the comments that we're hearing and what we're doing in relation to item 4 on the agenda today. Thank you.
Yes.
And as the attorneys come up, let me just say that the ordinance dated 6/24 has been distributed and posted already.
Okay, so the attorneys. please. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that we have Adrian Corsani and
Blake Lamb with the Planning
Blake Lamb.
Department.
Thank you. So, colleagues, in an overabundance of caution, this is purely a procedural issue to remove an alleged Brown Act violation complaint on what has been a highly litigated project. So, what we're doing is we are correcting procedurally an action that we took, and Ms. Lamb and Ms. Corsani are going to explain the steps and the rationale of what brings us here today before we hear the rest of the comment and take the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. So the Council has already acted to rescind the action of May 4th. What's before you is the fully agendized matter involving Target, its entitlements, the report from the Plum Committee, the same substantive material that you voted on previously. There is a modification that is also acknowledged and highlighted in the agenda, and Blake will explain what that is for the record.
Audio.
Try this one. Thanks. Good afternoon, Councilman. Blake Lamb, Senior City Planner with the Department of City Planning. The department has transmitted to you a modification to a project permit compliance finding, number 12D, which essentially makes the finding consistent with the council action of May 4th.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll continue with the public comment. Thank you for that clarification. So, Mr. Jason Vogel, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, sir. I'm Jason Vogel. I'm here representing the Hollywood Studio District Neighborhood Council. And I'm going to read a letter sent to the City of LA Department of Recs and Parks. Dear President Pastoris and Honorable Commission members, on behalf of our stakeholders and community, the Hollywood Studio District Neighborhood Council has consistently opposed special privileges being granted to the Target Corporation that would allow its proposed Hollywood Shopping Center to evade the requirements of the Vermont Western Transit-Oriented District, SNAP. Since 2009, the board has also requested that Target include a child care facility within its development to serve the needs of Target employees who we hope would be drawn from our community. Consistent with our position, the City Planning Commission voted unanimously last November to require that Target provide such a facility either on-site or within a mile from the project location.
Which we are doing.
However, Target appealed the City Planning Commission's child care facility requirement to the Los Angeles City Council, which is now requesting that your commission allow Target to instead merely pay a one-time fee. This request and Target's desire for special consideration defeats the interests of the Hollywood Studio District Neighborhood Council and the larger community as well as its stakeholders. Thus, as a community, we ask that you reject this proposal and instead use your authority to require that Target provide for the welfare of its employees by offering them child care. Doing so would not only be consistent with the intent of our specific plan, but would dramatically enhance the lives of our constituents. If Target is a good citizen, it is always purported to be, then this would seem to be the least that we could expect of them. Target had $73 billion in revenue in 2015, and its CEO received $28 million in compensation. Target can well afford the minor expense necessary to provide child care.
Thank you. Thank you. So if I can get, thank you, sir. So Mr. Abrams.
Well, the Brown Act is the least of your problems. We know, and you've been repeatedly advised, that this project violates the Charter Section 555 or a spot change to general plan, and also that this EIR for the previous project and an addendum is not adequate environmental review. You have a new project and the CEQA was very specific. You have to have a whole new EIR. And what's happened is that you're going to lose in court. Now, if you want to bring Blake Lamb into the chambers, why don't you ask her why the planning department isn't advising you to halt what you're doing, proceeding with this ordinance, and have her tell you why you do need a whole new EIR. She's right there. Why don't you ask her? What you're really doing is that you're just wasting so many people's time. You're wasting the city attorney's time because it's going to go to court. And you're wasting your time when you could be doing other people's business. And so I think that what you should do, the delay in the completion of the target is caused basically by you, not by us who are suing you. And I, as an appellant, do want a Target store. And so I think the fastest way to get it completed is to rescind this ordinance, wind this whole process back, and for Target to tear down the illegal structure and to build the original project that they originally came to the city with. And I think that Garcetti should be totally ashamed for the fact of how much money and time he has wasted, of everybody's time, and especially Target.
Thank you. So, Mr. Previn?
Yes, it is Eric Brevin, and I think it's important to underline a few key points. One is I think that the people in the community are happy to have a Target. That is a critical kind of penumbra, Mr. Fauble, to feel at the moment. There's not a problem with Target. There is a problem with the creeping, expanding, and violating of the specific plan. Now, there was also another point which I think is worth asking the city attorney directly over here if they want to respond, that when you have a project EIR and you use it to change the specific plan, does that not result in an immediate litigation and problem? I think it does. And I think that though this body goes to great lengths to monitor and manage its legal conduct, I think that somebody should do a careful study and learn exactly how much you have been spending in this cycle of, I don't want to say wrongdoing because that's a very, very strong word, but intentionally doing stuff that you know is going to result in additional litigation. Now, finally, I want to talk about the children because Blumenfield and I both love the kids. And here it is. Child care is something that Target wants to do. I think we see that they want to be helpful because they've been forced to. But to do so by migrating the facility to over a mile away undercuts, in a way, the intent. And I understand why they want to do it. The very likely reason is because they want more retail space, Fauble. If you're trying to sell various alcoholic beverages into the community, you need as much floor space as possible. But I don't think that that's really in the community's interest. And I think that that's why the community has spoken many times before. You've given them 30 seconds and 15 seconds alternately from time to time to try to make the simple points. And the points are clear. The points are, do you know what the points are? Do I have to review all these points one more time? Or can we all agree that it's time to withdraw this and go back to the original plan that would be commensurate
Thank you.
with...
Thank you. Please come forward and identify yourself.
Good afternoon. Nicole Shahanian with the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce and the East Hollywood Business Improvement District. On behalf of both the Chamber and the BID, I'm here to show our very strong support for the Target. We ask that you please adopt the council member's motion and move forward with this project as soon as possible. If allowed to open, the Target would be home to Hollywood's first department store since Sears closed in 2008. This store will allow Hollywood residents to shop locally without having to leave the community for many necessities, and it will provide 250 critically needed jobs for the neighborhood while simultaneously reactivating a blighted block that has become an eyesore in the community. Located within a transit-oriented district, the Target project will help to alleviate cross-town traffic, allowing residents to shop in their own neighborhood rather than having to drive through Hollywood to get to the next closest Target. As Hollywood continues to grow, it's imperative that we continue to provide services and amenities for the residents that live and work in our community. The Chamber believes the proposed Target is an ideal retail addition to the neighborhood, and it's been long enough. We really need to get this in the community now. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, though, I don't know if I got, is it an Alex? We have Alex. And I was looking for a Jennifer. I think it's Denez Daniel Wright. Yes, please identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Alex Kondracki. And I just really don't understand why Target is getting this special consideration. Target makes over $73 million a year. Its CEO makes $28 million a year. And yes, Target will be providing jobs, but I couldn't work there because I wouldn't get paid enough to pay for my child care. So these aren't jobs for everybody. The going rate for child care is $20 to $25 an hour. So those are jobs for people who don't have families. They're low-wage jobs. And this is when the city council decides, hey, we're going to give special consideration to a multi-billion-dollar corporation instead of standing up for the people of this community, it really makes you wonder, who does the city council work for? Do you work for us, or are you working for Target? So please force them to do the right thing, put the child care where it ought to be, and also this business about the alcohol. Originally, they were just supposed to get beer and wine. That's all they need. They don't need to be selling all kinds of alcohol in that neighborhood with all the problems that are there already. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Wright and Jennifer, is that you, Mr. Wright? Please come forward.
I believe Jennifer left.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes. How much time will I be provided?
You'll get your time back. Give him his...
How much time will I be provided?
2 minutes.
I represent the appellant.
This is not actually an appellate case. We're considering the matter.
So we'll start with the 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Daniel Wright of the Silverstein Law Firm for Appellant La Mirada Avenue Neighborhood Association of Hollywood. Let the record reflect that this morning we filed a letter of objection to the City Council rewriting its own zoning law to conform our law to the illegal half-built Target building standing at Western and Sunset. This building, twice the height allowed by law, looms as a symbol to the voters of the city that something is terribly wrong with the planning and zoning processes of this city. In fact, one might suggest that the vote in Britain yesterday expresses frustration that is similar to those who are supporting the Neighborhood Integrity Initiative here in this city. Today's meeting agenda includes proposed consideration of the land use appeals filed over the city's deficient environmental review and process in this case. Yet, land use appellants, such as ourselves, who filed the appeals, paid a fee to the city, and submitted written evidence are given 2 minutes to argue our case instead of a reasonable amount of time. Under City Council rules, only the City Council has the authority to approve the project. Yet the record is devoid of evidence that any member of the City Council who did not attend the Plum Committee listened to the proceedings at Plum Committee. There is no evidence that any of the Plum Committee ever read the written materials before that committee, and the same is true for this full council. The fact that some materials may lie in a file somewhere, paper or electronic, does not demonstrate that your votes today are a product of a serious review and consideration of testimony and evidence. All of this unfairness is attributable to the City Council's 45-year refusal to adopt land use hearing procedural rules as mandated by Government Code Section 65804, that law championed by Yvonne Brathwaite Burke herself when L.A. refused to adopt these rules as recommended in 1969.
Thank you.
For all of these reasons, I object to being given only 2 minutes when we are a land use appellant. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I want to thank the Department of City Planning for providing us with a legally sound approach in light of the extremely litigated Target case. And just for everyone who's just heard the public comments, if you want a Target, you don't first tear a Target down and then build a Target. What happened in 2007 was 9 years ago. What we have is we have exactly one constituent in the 13th District, and I mean one, and who spoke today, who actually lives in the 13th District and wants to see the Target torn down. The rest of the constituents in my district are so eager to see Target open and get through this legal morass that is brought forward by individuals who are so deeply misguided. There are no words to describe this. And I have good news for the Studio District Neighborhood Council. Target, there will be a child care facility within 1 mile of Target as required by the SNAP. That is a fact. There will be. I don't know who has misled you into saying that there wouldn't be, but there factually will be within 1 mile. One other really great thing about this target is there will be an employment pipeline for formerly homeless youth living at Covenant House. They've been waiting now for 3 years to be employed at Target. And that is something that is good for the neighborhood, good for the community, not to mention good for the revenue that we need to generate to keep city services going at this iconic intersection of Sunset and Western. There is no greater time now to move this forward so we can finish the 3/4 of the way project to get Target open and operating. And as Nicole mentioned, the first department store in Hollywood since Sears closed almost a decade ago. Let's approve this. I move to amend item 4 to adopt the ordinance dated 6/24/16, and I ask for your unanimous aye vote for the vastly overwhelming majority of constituents in my district and the city who want to see this job done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo.
Mr. Farrell, let me applaud you for your incredible leadership on this. You know, not everything we do is going to be popular, but it's so much the right thing to do. Those young men and women at Covenant House really seek an opportunity, and this public-private partnership is going to do that for them. But more than that, and I'll say this to those who are here from Target, we covet in the 1st District a new Target. We would love to have a new Target and have that retail, have those services, have those jobs. It's not the answer to everything. It's not the cure of cancer. It's not the end of homelessness, but it is important. And it's more than just what it's doing there at that on that block, but it sends a message about doing business in the city of Los Angeles. You and I have had this discussion, the frustrations that every time we fail in doing a project, we send a message out that Los Angeles isn't open for business. But with your leadership, you are sending a clear message to the entire city and the region that Los Angeles is open for business, for good businesses, for good jobs, for good retail, and I want to applaud your leadership on this matter. Thank you.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, let's move on to item 1. Mr. Walsh, are you here?
Mr. President, for the record, the ordinance will go over 1 week to July 1st, and also there is a request to have item 18 go forthwith, sir.
Okay, thank you. So on item 1, we're going to first vote on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Walsh, item 1.
Okay, reconsider point of order because you lost my card and then found it. Item 1, gang reduction. Vacation of the public right-of-way. It's out of control, the gangs, in this neighborhood where black people and Hispanic people live. Do you see in any neighborhood where the Jews live? Do you see them having
let's stay on the subject.
There's no vacation of right-of-way except where the gangs are tolerated and the cops get paid off. And now you're vacating the area. Vacating. And I just want to tell you, this is an all-white jury. There isn't one black or brown face on this goddamn thing. Why are you vacating this area? Gang reduction. The gangs rule, and you all suck their cocks, you pieces of fucking shit.
Okay, stay there, Mr. Walsh. We're going to call you next. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
We're on item 14.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org and tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This is the reappointment of Ms. Legessa. I spoke before when she was appointed. I lived for 2 years in Ethiopia, and I speak pretty good Amharic. And I just want to say, in Amharic, and you can have somebody translate it, Mayor Garcetti, Fanafentno, Herb Wesson, Talikso, and Leba, Batam, Leba, ina shifta. You can have that translated and see if I was respectful.
Okay, the first vote is on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Now we'll vote on the item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Mr. Walsh, item 24. We're going to vote now on reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Mr. Walsh.
10 ayes.
You have 1 minute.
Number 24. This is HollywoodHighlands.org. $18 million for premier apartments. We are actually in favor of this because it is one of those rare items that might help the African American community. And we want to thank Mr. Curran Price because when you do a good job, we're the first to congratulate you. When you do shit, we're the first to shit in your face.
Okay, let's vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
What's before this body now, Madam Clerk?
Council has general public comment.
Okay, before we get there, I want to recognize Mr. Marquise Harris Dawson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a special welcome to a member and part of the leadership of one of our country's most important organizations, the National Council of Negro Women, founded by Mary McLeod Bethune, the only women's organization that was at the center of the civil rights movement and continues to fight for social and economic justice in our country. We're joined by Miss Lois Keefe. We'll ask her to stand and welcome her. The leadership of NCNW is in Los Angeles for a meeting this weekend, and so we wanted to give them a city council welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Harris Dawson. Okay, I'm getting back to the clerk. What's before this body?
Mr. President, council has general public comments.
Okay, then let me call up Mr. Previn and Miss Jacqueline Richardson. Are you still here, Miss Richardson? Please come forward, and Mr. Previn, followed by Mr. Walsh and Miss Ramirez.
Thank you, Council President Wesson. It is Eric Previn. And I would just like to say to the Council, I know you've got a recess coming up, and I've taken a little interest because somebody asked me, they said, well, what do you mean a recess? And I said, well, it means that there won't be some meetings for a few weeks. But they said, well, are they off? I don't get it. Do they continue? I said, no, of course they're not off. They work. They just work out of their many district offices, sir. Right? And then I didn't really know, so I would just ask. I mean, is the city open for business just because we don't have city council meetings is a question. And how does that work? And why is it such a long hiatus in that the Board of Supervisors, who have a $28 billion budget, meet every single week? I just don't get it. It seems like, I guess you do cram in a lot more meetings, but they're stuff full of presentations and you don't let anybody talk on agendized items. So I don't know. It's a great area to take a little time off and study the issues closely, but to do so out of public view seems a little teeny bit weird to those of us in the public. I don't know. I mean, I want you all to rest up and get some relaxation time. Everybody deserves a little break.
Miss Richardson, thank you. Followed by Mr. Walsh. Miss Richardson, come on. Followed by Mr. Walsh. Followed by Ms. Ramirez.
Other cities have holographs in them. Some cities know about the holographs and some don't. I could be a holograph. Any of you could be a holograph. The holographs look like real people, act like real people, but they're not. They're computers. I believe the police commission has holographs in some of their public meetings. There's a rumor going on that the police commission had a uniformed personnel handle a general comment speaker, and they violently wrestled with this general comment speaker. I don't believe it was a real police officer, even though it was uniformed. I believe it was a holograph wrestling that person to the ground. I don't believe regular police officers would handle people roughly that way. I would believe it was a holograph because they don't always do things right.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh, followed by Ms. Ramirez.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Jay Walsh, confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Miss O'Farrell is not here now. He's flown the coop. But what he said was that nobody except Doug Haynes in the 13th District is opposed to Target. There are tens of thousands of us. And Miss O'Farrell, when you were dancing, and you were a professional dancer, we were opposed to a Target there. And you can just take off your ballet slippers and shove them up your pretty little ass. And don't you tell me that I wasn't in favor, that I was in favor of building a Target here. I was against it. And we had a great celebration today. AEG dropped their hotel plans. That whole project fell and fallen into shit. Farmers Field, the whole fucking thing, you spent millions of dollars, it's gone.
Ms. Ramirez, Ms. Ramirez.
I want to wish two political giants a happy birthday. First, to mi ex-presidente Vicente Fox de la República Mexicana, and the eighth wonder of the world will celebrate his birthday on July the 2nd. He espoused life, liberty, freedom of speech, and human dignity. I love his voice. Secondly, the ninth wonder of the world, the ex-mayor of Anaheim, California, Kurt Pringle, who will celebrate his birthday on June the 27th. He has a laser jet supersonic brain, and he is the greatest troubleshooter with a phenomenal sense of wit, prudence, objectivity, and graciousness. He never censored or kicked anybody out. Kurt Pringle, we need you as mayor of Los Angeles. You are the wholesome white man. And next, God bless our future president, Donald Trump, who is strongly compelled to bring back the sacred democratic sovereignty and the rule of law back to our beloved America. God bless Donald Trump.
Thank you. That ends general public comment. Madam Clerk, what business is now before this body?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred. Announcements. Don't see any announcements. If all would rise, all rise for adjourning motions, please. Everyone rise for adjourning motions. I am looking to my left side. I do not see any. I look to my right, Mr. Weezar's side, Ms. Martinez's side. I do not see any. With that said, this council meeting is adjourned.